Almost 150 people are killed in an Egyptian air crash. The rescue operation near Sharm El-Sheikh has uncovered no survivors. It's thought almost all the passengers on board were French. It was cancelled yesterday and the day before, but BA says today's flight 223 will fly from London to Washington. A new probe on the Red Planet, NASA's rover, lands this evening. Chelsea go behind in their FA Cup tie against Watford, but did the ball cross the line? Good afternoon. An aircraft with nearly 150 people on board has crashed into the Red Sea close to the Egyptian resort of Sharm El-Sheikh. There are no reports of any survivors. Now, in other news, one American soldier has been killed and a number of others wounded after a mortar attack on US Army base to the northwest of Baghdad. Military spokesman said the base, close to the town of Balad, came under attack on Friday evening. The soldier was killed by shrapnel. A search for the attackers resulted in 6 people being detained. A 15-year-old boy is one of 3 Palestinians to have been killed by Israeli troops in the West Bank city of Nablus. Palestinian witnesses said the teenager had been throwing stones. The Israelis say he'd been dropping bricks from a rooftop onto troops, which they described as a life-threatening assault. India's Prime Minister is visiting Pakistan for the first time in 5 years. Atal Bihari Vajpayee arrived in Islamabad for a summit of South Asian leaders, which begins tomorrow. It's Mr Vajpayee's first visit to the country since 1999, after which relations between the two countries deteriorated because of rivalry over the disputed region of Kashmir. Now, there's still no news from Britain's Beagle mission to Mars, so now it's the Americans' turn to try and land. And best of luck to them over the next 24 hours. You're watching BBC News 24. It's just after 1:15. These are the headlines this afternoon. An Egyptian plane carrying 135 French nationals has crashed into the Red Sea, killing everyone on board. It's reported that many children are among the dead. BA Flight 223 will fly to Washington this afternoon, says the company. Security concerns left it grounded Thursday and Friday. And a NASA probe, as we've just heard, is due to land on the surface of Mars this evening. There's still no news, however, from the British Beagle probe.
And in sport, 2 shocks already emerging in the third round of the FA Cup. Tranmere lead Bolton Wanderers 1-0, but the first goal of the round was one of the most controversial. Officials ruled that Heider Helgeson's header here for Watford crossed the line, even though replays show it didn't. The latest, though, it's 2-2 in an incredible game. Chelsea are 1-0 up in their Old Firm derby with Rangers. Stilian Petrov with the goal there. If it stays this way, Celtic will move 11 points clear at the top of the SPL. And India's Sachin Tendulkar ruins Steve Waugh's final test for Australia. He ends day 2 unbeaten on 223 with India on 650 for 5. Those are your headlines. The Sport in full in half an hour. Tim.
Thanks very much indeed, Mike. Now, the Conservative Party leader, Michael Howard, has been defending the publication of his political beliefs. Nicely accused it. Some of us still find it much more stressful than buying them in the first place. Anyway, let's get a weather update now with Rob McElwee. Rob.
Hello. It's not a wintry scene everywhere, but it's certainly a cold scene with some snow.
Good afternoon. You're watching BBC News 24 with me, Tim Willcox. In a moment, we'll be live in Sharm El-Sheikh and Paris for the aftermath of that Egyptian air crash. But first, a summary of the main news at 1:30, and that is our lead story this afternoon. An aircraft with nearly 150 people on board has crashed into the Red Sea close to the Egyptian resort of Sharm El-Sheikh. All 135 passengers and 13 crew are reported to have been